if you go back to some of my fights and you watch why I was so, I guess, effective versus Donald Cerrone or Edson Barboza, even James Vick, and certainly against Ferguson, that my ability with my feet to control distance is second to none. And you've never really seen it. It's not even being analyzed because it's not something that has ever been used as a method, I guess. But Trevor's been working with me on this, on how to use my feet to get to a certain distance and stay off the fence. Never going straight backwards, always moving to the side, constantly shifting and changing levels to make them reset so I can move one way or the other. I have to stay off the fence. If I'm on the fence, then I lost. Yeah. But if I have a really, really good belief that he's going to have a really hard time to put me on the fence.
You got to have feet work. Without the feet work, you can't stay off the fence. He's not getting takedowns in the open. You go watch all of his fights, you're going to see maybe 5, a handful, if that, of takedowns in the actual center of the cage. He'll start in the middle, but he's going to push you. It's to push you to the cage and use the cage. It's going to be me keeping that distance where he feels slightly uncomfortable. In order to shoot a double leg, you have to be at a distance in which you feel comfortable. In wrestling, it's always, I shouldn't, unless my head's touching your head, I should never take a shot. If he's taking a shot in the open, it's to drive you to the fence to finish the takedown. Controlling distance, staying off the fence is going to be the most important thing in the world when it comes to that fight.
If you watch all my fights, they don't start, a minute or a minute and a half in. When that first bell rings, it's to the death immediately. We're fighting at a much different range than what you wrestle at. And in order to get your hands on me, you have to extend yourself, and I get to punch you now and kick you and knee you. So I get to cause damage. There's gonna be a zone in front of me. It's not very big, and it's gonna be a zone of death. And if I have to represent death every time he enters this zone, and that's what I'm the best at. Creating carnage, creating car crashes. So my only goal when I step in there is to create as many car crashes as possible. Whether it be our bodies hitting, our heads hitting, our shoulders hitting, our fists, my fist hitting his head, his fist hitting my head. It doesn't matter. I need to create car crashes because I need to, that's the only way to beat this guy. I think I have more power than anybody ever has consistently had in the lightweight division. Kicks mostly. And 4 or 5 kicks, I'm going to land 4 or 5 kicks through that fight. It only takes 4 or 5.
And I know how bad those kicks hurt. If I can touch your calf, I'm never kicking above the knee anymore. From the outside, you could fire at a different distance. You're so much more safe. And there's so many nerves and ligaments that run through that part that have no protection. Your thigh has, your quad is a big muscle. It's hard to get through your quad to those nerves. Yeah. You could touch the nerves. I got to touch KHABIB there 4 times, and then he's compromised.
Since I was 4 years old, I can promise you that the only thing that I have strived for every day is to never be held down on my back. As a wrestler, you can't even rest on your back. If you were resting and laying on your back, it was 50 push-ups. Every single time your back touched the mat, 50 push-ups. I've been working for this my whole life. He's never faced a wrestler like me. He's also never faced somebody that's been working as hard or as long as he has. There's not a he hasn't. There's no possible way he's worked harder or longer than me because we're the same age. He could. I'm sure it's the same, but it's not more. And I'm very confident in that. In wrestling, you move forward and you constantly are engaging. Now it's a different game. It's a different game we're playing. I'm constantly I'm constantly at a distance that. You feel you can shoot, but it's right away when you make that commitment. You understand that I'm not there. If you've never wrestled, you would think that the best way to stop a takedown is to get away from it. I wrestled Jordan Burroughs 2 times. I stopped 20 of his double legs, and that was by meeting force with force. I freaking threw my chest into his head as hard as I can, and I dug for underhooks because the only way to stop a takedown is to meet force with force. You don't try to sprawl away. Whenever you do a sprawl drill, you don't throw your hips away. You drive your hips into the mat because that's how you stop a takedown. So I've wrestled my whole life. I think about folk style wrestling. Folk style wrestling does not happen anywhere in the world other than the United States. I only wrestle folk style. I very rarely wrestle freestyle. In folk style, I think the biggest factor is you're allowed to expose your back without giving up points, which means you scramble. So whenever he goes to take me down, I'm going to be flipping and rolling ways that he's never felt in his life. You cannot hold me down. I will get up, and I will scramble, different in a different way than he's ever known. Getting up every morning and knowing that fighting Khabib definitely lights a fire under my ass. Makes me push myself a little more. It's always you versus you. That's something I always say. So yeah, I really just need to get up and make sure, again, work harder than yesterday. Make better choices, be more consistent. But a lot of it is running. A lot of running. My legs got to be ready for 25 minutes of wrestling. I wrestle twice a week. I got my coach Ben Charrington coming in. I was having Ryan Deacon, who's one of the best wrestlers in the country, moving back to school now. So I got Carrington Banks, Taiwan Claxton, Archie Colgan, just three. Banks likes to say he's the same age as me, but he gets up and down like he's in his 20s still. So I call him a kid. Yeah. Just three kids really, trading in and out on me. They get a break. I get no break. I hate it, but it's only an hour, so I push it. Thursdays is the really tough one. I spar Tuesday, Friday. Got strength conditioning with Landau on Monday, Wednesday. Try to golf at least once during the week, and then a lot of running. Red Rocks on Saturday, sprints on Tuesday after sparring. A lot of eating the right things, coming home, playing video games, staying off my feet. A lot of those things. It's only 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm not training more than 3 hours a day like I ever have. I got to be the perfect me. I don't think he's as crazy as me. That's the thing. I think he's crazy, and I think he loves competition, but I don't think he's quite as crazy as me. And he hasn't seen his blood very many times, I'm sure. And I know I'm going to see his blood. So I want him to see his blood, and I want to see his reaction. There's a special feeling, that I get, and feel whenever I'm about to go fight, and it's, very destructive. I don't know what it is. I try not to touch any of my coaches, because if I do, it's definitely hurting them. At least 7 guys retire. At least 7 guys have never stepped in the cage after I was finished with them. And I make you question if you ever want to go through that again, and I will make you question that. I have never not come out of the cage with my opponent being absolutely broken from physical damage, and he's never walked out with a lot of physical damage. So we're going to see who can impose their will, and only one of us will. I do think it's going to be a battle for the ages. 25 minutes, man. I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to fight my ass off. I'm going to be willing to die, more willing to die than I've ever been willing, and that's just what I'm going to bring to the cage. Yeah, I think I can beat Khabib. I do think I'm so powerful. I hit so hard. I'm so athletic. I'm just as hungry as he is. I've been working for as many years as he has. I hit so hard. I guarantee he's going to be in trouble.